Theme: The Children of the Circus. Monday, Introduction. Week 39. In 2019, I had enough of Stockholm and sent an email to everyone I knew around Sweden in the hope of finding a place to live and work. Not long after that I ended up outside Karlstad and of course among bikers. But in this region of the country it wasn't exactly a relaxed environment because of the police's hunt for this particular group of people. Through that I got a job, and through that job I met the girls who are still the best team I've ever worked with so far, and that's the story I'm going to tell you about this week. I have training in cleaning, everything from how to handle chemicals to high falls training, in other words how to work safely at high heights, and in cleaning it is considered a high height as soon as you step over 50 centimeters from the floor, even if the training was about heights far over 25 meters. My first assignment was in a school during their leave, depolishing and then polishing the floor again. Something I had never done before, which I honestly demonstrated to the manager, so we made it easy, or I made it easy because they left me there and went on other assignments. I moved all the benches and chairs to one side and then started. It was probably lucky that I did that because for the first few minutes it was the machine that danced with me and not the other way around. The goal was to finish all the classrooms and hallways on 2 floors. I can't remember how many days were allotted for this job, but I did it in 2 days, which was significantly less than estimated. When I say I do something like now in less time, I mean without cheating and without having to redo anything. It's work done correctly. You see, my philosophy is simple: if you don't like doing it the first time, then do it properly, because the second time you are forced to do it because you cheated will only piss you off. Just like liars and fake people, but when you do it to yourself, dude, who you gonna blame? My team leader and regional manager came by to see me on my second and last day, and they looked at the work extremely carefully without any complaints. I think this was the basis for the decision they later took, to send me straight into the wolf pit. Me and 8 girls of all ages, both younger and older than myself, would, among other things, clean the barracks that 2,500 construction workers used when they built Europe's largest cardboard factory. It didn't take long before I realized that time was something we were short of as a team. Our team leader would be 50% on the floor and 50% in the office. The reality was that she was 85% on the floor with the rest of us, which caused the administration to fall behind, which is never a good thing. So I do what I always do: ROSA. React, accept, observe, summarize, act. It took a week or 4 before I saw the pattern in the entire construction of the system we were working from. Then I started. I took a meeting with my team leader and regional manager, demonstrated that I am not after the title, but I have a solution to everyone's problems if they were willing to listen, which they were. I demonstrated the flaws I saw, got this confirmed. I demonstrated how I saw a solution and presented it to them. I don't want to be a manager, but I can lead the work team through knowledge and experience. If I get free hands, I promise to turn over more money than the department did then and there. Money appeals to all managers, so when I was done telling my plan I got the green light and then we started. Unfortunately, we all missed one small detail. Telling the other 8 girls that I now went as a form of team leader. Guess if I met resistance in the first 2 months. The girls took turns giving me hell. Pure hell is no understatement. But I bit the bullet and gave 200% without picking up on their aggressions. 2 girls for 1 week, then they changed to 2 other girls the next week for 2 months. But I had decided to get this schooner on the right track, and even if the girls didn't knew it, but at worst I had to pick the bad apples out of the basket because there were plenty of apples. But these girls, geez, they made purgatory look like a light tan to start with. I told them to do like this, they did like that. I told them to do like that, and they did like this. Did I pull a heavy load in the beginning or what? But in the end, well, let us not run that fast. I tell you more tomorrow. Theme: Children of the Circus. Tuesday, my girls. Week 39. Once the information reached the girls that I was a deputy team leader, everything changed over a coffee break. It was my first opportunity to demonstrate my strength in apologizing, something more people should learn, but also to demonstrate the importance of communication. Once we had established an understanding of our different roles, it was time to strike while the iron is hot, right? I turned the adversity into an advantage by showing exactly what we had experienced, and I started by talking about my vision, my plan and my rules, and then they had a day or so to think about what I said before we reconnected on the matter. I spoke the truth: we are behind, and that means we have to work hard as hell for a few weeks, but if they give me their trust and 200% of themselves, the benefits will be extreme. But I have 2 demands. 1. Never ever lie to me and tell the whole truth. If you do, you will end up on my shit list and you will know it when I cut you out of my reality. 2. Talk to me. Communication is the most important thing we have, which we had already experienced mainly through my failure to tell about the changes in the team. Follow these 2 rules and I'll back you up whether you're right or wrong, something the girls had a hard time trusting. But I already figured out what these girls had been through in life. I'm not going to tell you, but if I say they've been through more shit than most, it's not an exaggeration. We were all condemned by our surroundings in one way or another for various reasons. Again, turn the negative into a positive, which was my plan. If I gain the trust of these girls, we will be able to work smart, not hard, so it was now up to me to show that I stood by what I said. The tests I was subjected to in the beginning subsided and I was given an honest chance by the girls to show that my word is as solid as my face. During the breaks, we never talked about work, but as soon as the break was over, we took 5 minutes to check how everyone was doing with their tasks. Who was ahead, who was behind the schedule, and through that we as a team could help each other where needed. Some had harder areas to clean than others, but when it came to trying to sneak away to get help, again. Don't test me because you'll regret it. I'm honest and straight to the point because I don't have time for people's BS. It didn't take long before the results started to show and the confidence of the girls grew. We not only had the barracks to clean, but also all the first aid sheds, toilets and other parts of the construction area. 15 toilets and 2,500 construction workers mainly from the east. Yes, it matters because I don't know if they learn how to use a toilet. But also the pharmacy in town, the employment agency and some other customers of the same proportion outside the actual construction area were places we needed to clean. So our area was big. We had access to a car, but when it broke down, the task was too heavy for the girls who had it as their job. But the job has to be done and I was the strongest of us because of gender. Then people can say whatever the hell they want, but the reality doesn't change just because someone is offended. So in the hottest summer in a long time, 2018, with full warning clothing, it was just a matter of starting to walk. Scouring cloths, cleaning products, rags and a hell of a lot of drinking water were packed into the backpack, and then beware of all the machines that would have easily crushed me if I ended up under one of them. But through this, the last nail in the coffin was in place. I had shown by doing it myself that it works when everyone, and I mean everyone, said it was impossible. You see, when you give someone who has never been trusted full trust in return for them proving that they listen to you, you get extreme loyalty back. We were all broken goods, and we're not just talking cracks in the china, we were all completely broken in different ways. Children of the circus. When the regional manager heard that I called the girls my girls, and that we were all children of the circus, I was told that you are not allowed to say that. I just asked why, to which I didn't get a direct answer more than I sounded like a pimp, so I just pointed out how it was and that we, me and the girls, see nothing wrong with that term as long as it's between us. But you, as an outsider, don't tell us without consequences. The regional manager looked at me a little askance, but I took a short break before continuing to explain. Everyone is pointing fingers at us, talking about us in a bad way without knowing a damn thing about us. But as cleaners and with our different backgrounds, we are seen as the lowest of the low, so when people stand outside our circle and laugh, it's like at the circus. But who is the fool? You who pay to see the spectacle at the circus, or those who perform the spectacle and earning money from it? Because you see, in a circus it's the odd ones that are normal and the normal ones are odd, and through time and watering of it our own self-esteem, so again, we turn something negative into a strength. We had nothing to lose as we are already seen as losers without any trust from people. You see, when you wear even that title with your head held high and don't take crap from anyone, you become attractive. So who is the fool, the paying customer, or us beautiful children from the circus who profit from the fool laughing at us as we laughed at them on the other side of the rope? Theme: Children of the Circus. Wednesday, my word is my everything. Week 39. During the introduction, I had demonstrated to the girls that as long as they never lie to me and always communicate, I will back them up against God Himself, whether they are right or wrong. This was something they didn't understand, but from the background I come from, it's the most important thing you have. If you break your word, you lose face, and if you do, you are left to the hyenas. Let me explain. Say one of the girls had forgotten to refill paper in a toilet. The company that hired our services contacted me, and since I didn't have the information about why, I always asked to come back later. I called the person in question, asked if it was correct that there was no paper in the toilet and if so, why. Sometimes it was because the customer himself had not ordered the item we needed, then it fell on them themselves. But even if it had been the case that there was no paper in that toilet, I would have backed the girl up and shown that I had to move her to another task so she didn't finish. I'll fix it right away when I'm done with what I'm doing. How are you supposed to stab me or my girls in the back when you get that answer back? You can't. Once the girls understood how I work, that I mean what I say and say what I mean, we became the most solid group on the whole building. Girls love gossip and they are extremely good at finding information, something we again used as a team to our advantage. We could raise the alarm about accidents before those who were there had done so because we were everywhere, we heard everything, and after a confrontation between me and about 100 Polish construction workers, the girls realized that I was more dangerous than a pimp. No one even looks askance at my girls without me giving them hell. If they don't get your respect, then you don't respect me and then you have a problem. But I will return to that particular situation later this week. As a leader, not a boss, I never deviated from my principles. Be straight and honest and everything will be gold, which it was. But I'll also give you hell if you don't treat me right. So the girls quickly chose which side they wanted to be on, and whoever tried to defy got to taste the rest of the girls' wrath. And it was straight away without even blinking. This only happened twice, then the internal mutiny was over for good. Because you see, in this year that we worked together, we didn't get a single complaint that we couldn't explain, and it wasn't by making excuses. The girls understood the point of doing everything correctly the first time, always communicating internally to solve things, and I was adamant about that. You don't talk outside the coffee room about someone unless you have something nice to say, then shut up or you'll piss me off. I can't stand disloyal people and give them everything but love and trust. Something these girls didn't want to lose now that they get to experience trust and confidence for the first time since I don't know when. When a broken bone heals, it becomes stronger. The same is true with people. Okay, I don't like it, but let me give you an example so you understand what I'm talking about. One of the girls relapsed into drugs and was absent from work because of this. I got that information at the coffee table, as the rules said. The next day the girl calls me and is completely devastated. She thinks she's been fired. But she is honest with me, tells it like it is, and explains without going into depth why, and I accept that explanation. She has just done something she has never done before, shown extreme trust in a man, in me, whom she barely knows. So I prove after a while of talking that if you need help I want you to speak up, but now I just want to know how long she needs to be gone to get back on her feet, because she definitely hasn't been fired. On the contrary, she has grown in my eyes through her honest approach. She was at work the next day and now everyone was put to the test. Would someone start to incite internally over this mistake, or would they understand that this opportunity also applied to them as long as they said it was? At the first coffee break, everything was as before, no one hung their heads and felt like a loser, but through this, our bonds were strengthened even more. They realized that I wasn't the guy in the neighborhood who saw these girls as objects. I was their anchor and hammer if needed. No hugs, no approaching, but we fist bumped, and when they realized, as I said, that I wasn't interested in anything other than their well-being, we owned the entire construction site. The black ducklings were swans that no one wanted to get into trouble with. The way we worked as a team gave us the opportunity to work 60% but get paid 100%, and that summer was hot as hell. Through clear directives, clear requirements, and strict management, we had a fantastic summer that turned out to be enormously hard work. We calculate that each person carried about 1.5 tons of garbage every day by hand. When it was too heavy for the girls, they called me, and if it was too heavy for me too, more of the girls came and helped. Since I had told them what the goal was from the beginning and everyone was on board, no one slacked off. If you don't want to come home 3 hours earlier, that's okay, but no one goes home until everyone is done with their tasks. Because your tasks are only part of the team's tasks, and it is all the team's tasks that must be completed before we close for the day. We rode against the current for a while, facing setbacks and downright contempt from some younger construction workers. But together we talk about things, which meant that no one brought a bad attitude to the construction site. If someone did, it was me, and it was my job. Proving to the people that my girls are not yours to play with without tasting my full wrath. I'll tell you more about that particular situation when I stood alone against a whole barrage of Polish construction workers to protect one of my guys. You heard right, but you'll find out more about that tomorrow. Theme: Children of the Circus. Thursday, Introduction. Week 39. 2,500 construction workers, 15 toilets, and this is where people turn their heads and almost vomit. But these festival toilets would be washed twice a day by hand. Something the girls refused, so I, as the leader, just showed that it is possible if you want to. But it was certainly not the most entertaining job I've done, but I showed that it is possible if you want it to be. During the summer, a brother from another mother moved in with me, another one who got tired of Stockholm. He got a job as a machine operator, which he's great at, and it's not just my word but he has it documented. When the company he worked for had problems, it was like always, last in first out, so there he was without employment. But by this time me and my girls had done such a good job by working together that I had already picked up more girls who were looking for jobs. This, as always, after asking the girls at the coffee table if they want to bring their friends in, we all have to create more jobs and that will require us all to take on more jobs for a while. We were given many special jobs such as cleaning the barracks that would no longer be used, but it was just chores that were enough for us. I needed to fix more work areas, and that was little of what I had promised my managers when I first started. We all worked full days for a period and I went and counted at work as soon as I got a second to spare. I hustled hard. I, together with my girls and now also my brother, managed to provide more people with work than the employment agency managed to do that year. That's how good I am. That summer we brought in a younger guy who had no interest at all in the job itself, but he needed money. I demonstrated the rules and now had to add a directive. No one dates anyone in the work team. No discussion. It always ends in chaos when you mix work with private life, and we had come too far to fail because of enzymes in someone's head. Fuck that. I say the same thing to the guys. Nobody other than me takes confrontations, whether it's with the company that rents us or with the construction workers. At the slightest problem, call me, tell me the whole truth and leave nothing out so you don't make me look stupid, resulting in you having to deal with an angry me in a small room alone. The guy calls me when my brother and I are on our way to the pharmacy. He quickly demonstrates that I would call if there was something. Now there is something. He tells me everything. I ask if it's everything and really everything and remind him of the consequences if he lies to me. My brother has already understood what to expect, so he has turned the car around without me saying anything. When I hang up the phone he just asks, "Which barack are you going to?" Once at the barracks I take 30 seconds and ask the guy again, "Is that all? You haven't left out any information?" When he confirms that it's all, even his own mistakes which he's ashamed of, I walk through all the locker rooms and into their dining room where I confront the guy who verbally assaulted my guy. The whole dining room is dead silent. Every single construction worker stares at me with a questioning look while I listen intently to the guy's story. I note that he has a point on a matter of fact, but the rest of what he says is pure bullshit, whereupon he gets up. Very stupid, because now I go from 0 to 1,000 without blinking an eye. If you want to fight, you will do it with your life on the line, because I will protect my people no matter the cost. When the guy doesn't understand after the third time I prove that I hear what he's saying but he's wrong, and he continues the stupid fuck. Then 4 of the biggest men in the dining room get up, walk up to me and gently point out that, "We'll fix this," and we apologize for the guy's behavior. After an angry playful look for a few seconds, I accept their solution to the problem and then leave the barracks, angry as few. I really wanted to bury my knuckles in his face several times over. As I said, we had 100% control over the area, what happened, what was said, etc. I didn't see it myself, but the girls tell me what these gentlemen did to that guy. He never came back to that workplace and no one addressed or looked askance at my staff after that. You started to show respect, you helped the girls with the heavy garbage bags, and they behaved properly towards a fellow human being, regardless of gender. Unfortunately, that didn't mean that the toilets were more fun to clean, but after I went to our contractor about this, they gave in and set up more stalls with more toilets. As I said, more work, more people with salary, more income for the company, and more satisfied people, and all based on some simple attitudes like being honest. Theme: Children of the Circus. Friday, last laugh. Week 39. As you can see, there is more to this story than what I chose to tell, just like with everything I tell. There are things I can't talk about, things I don't want to talk about, and things you simply have no business in. Which is also part of today's photo. If you've listened to everything I've said so far, you've probably understood that not everyone is in the photo. I always have several plans and I am good at observing and summarizing before I act. So when the construction of the factory was almost finished, I packed my bags and moved to Gothenburg for the next work assignment. Still within the same group, but here too I left a big mark. It was not financially sustainable to commute between Gothenburg, where I lived, and Uddevalla, where I worked, so I resigned. Something that my regional manager, who I told you about here, thought was completely insane. You don't do that. But there were never any evil looks from her. She just realized that I'm not like everyone else, but I do what I need to do to survive. If you then stand in my way, I will cross you if I have to, because in my world there is no one more important than myself. Without me in my life. Yes, you understand the gist of it yourself, I hope, even if you don't agree. Which I respectfully should if you do. You live your life, I live mine, and if you don't want me poking in your life, then don't poke in mine. I never had to fight to get any changes through. The regional manager and the regular team leaders saw the results, and that was enough for them. So when we had to wear warning clothing, the head office shouted straight out because it is a huge cost, and then we hadn't counted on the winter clothes yet. And that winter was as cold as the summer had been warm. Even the polar bears thought it was cold. But what we managed to achieve was magic, so when I demonstrated that this is what we need to, then the managers got on board, and within a week we had what we needed because they knew I wasn't fooling anyone. It's the first and last time I've seen a manager understand the principle that it costs money to make money, and make money they did. So the worst possible start ended like a Cinderella fairy tale. 2 of the girls later had children, and the last I heard was that they had all moved on to other tasks when the construction site closed. We will always be the children of the circus, but today they have got a new stage to perform on, new trust from other employers, and so on. All that was needed was that someone dared to trust them in their ability. The last girl I hired told me during the interview that she had severe ADHD and then stared at the floor with that hopeless look I've seen so many times before. I didn't say anything. I waited until she was done and then energetically demonstrated that it's wonderful, whereupon she looked at me in amazement. Was I really what she had heard the others say about me? Was I really the big brother and father they might not have had? I explained that if I have a stain on the floor that will take me 1 hour to remove, then I will make her remove it. She looked at me even more thoughtfully, but I put my foot down. You see, if you are that energetic with your superpower, ADHD, you will get it off in 20 minutes, which saves us all time, and we can all go home early and get paid. She shone like the sun and suddenly grew 5 centimeters longer.